Buddha. Buddha? Buddha! Before we hop into this review of chapter 42 and 43 of Record of Ragnarok, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, let's get into it. What's up guys, I got the Pencil here, and here we are to review chapter 42 and 43 of Record of Ragnarok. And these chapters, they kind of slapped. I mean, here's the thing. I do consider these chapters kind of like one big chapter. They released so close to each other, it was a double drop. Obviously, that's what these chapters were meant to be, because chapter 42 basically ends on a non-ending. I mean, it's cool enough, but here's the thing. Let me just go in chronological order why I think it slaps. One, I like that we see Shiva and his victory, and it's more played up. We get Heimdall declaring it, we get all the guys cheering for him, all of that. Really, really good, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I do sort of think that Hercules is, not Hercules, I do believe Hermes is kind of capping when he says that, oh, if Raiden hadn't just stuck to using his monstrous strength in different ways, that there's no way he could have, like, even pushed Shiva this far. I think that's, I mean, maybe his strength gets better utilized with Sumo, and I just couldn't tell, but really, based off my reading of that fight, I was like, I don't know, was it the first, was that Sumo when he ripped off his arm? And I know there was Sumo when he ripped off two of his arms, so maybe, you know what, maybe Hermes wasn't capping. Maybe Raiden should have just kept using the palm strike, because honestly that did the most work. So I'll give Hermes his due respect. He does seem to know more than everyone else ever, so I will give his due credit. I'll say, you know what, Raiden had to use Sumo, that's great, and it's a nice conclusion. I love how all the Sumo are like, oh, you know what? We gotta give him one last send off. We gotta send him off with that last good Shiko, and they do it. And I love how we see everyone, like, right? Like, we see all the Sumo, and we see his parents, all the artists, everyone sending him out with one last hurrah, and it's nice. And I love how it says the call they made echoed out through the halls of Valhalla for ages to come. It's a nice, sweet send off to Raiden, which accompanies his send off from last chapter, which is honestly a nicer send-off than he got, because, you know, he died from getting his head kicked off, and that was really it. But, yeah, I think it's a nice little conclusion to that fight. It's a good wrap-up. And, of course, we get to see what I was hoping we'd see, Rudra and Shiva meeting back up again. It's really nice to see these two characters just interacting again. Like, obviously, my favorite part of that fight was Shiva's backstory. Shiva's backstory is the main reason I like him so much, because it makes him so human. So, I'm glad to see all these characters, including all the, you know, all the other gods, and that work with Shiva. I'm glad to see that all of them are together, and they do have a bond of friendship. Like, it's something that's implied from how they're all so fond of Shiva, but seeing them all take care of him and be happy for him is great. I actually really like that. And I like how Zeus comes up and checks on Shiva and is like, hey yo, so what do you think about them humans, bruh? And Shiva's like, you know, Gramps, humans, they're crazy good. And Zeus agrees. They used to have animosity, but I can definitely tell that, yeah, these two, due to their fights, have grown a new respect for humans, and now they can bond over that. And I like that. I prefer these two a lot more as friends than I do as, like, bitter enemies or rivals or whatever they were before, or, like, kind of friends. I really like their new dynamic here and now, because it makes them much more friendly, and I like that. I like when these different characters who all come from very different backgrounds have connections through one way or another. So I think that's really good. And then we move on to Goal or Gear. I don't know. I'm not sure which one. I see Gear, I see Goal. I'm not sure what the little Valkyrie's called, but I see her talking with Brunhild. She's sad over Thrud, and I understand why. Because while I don't care about the Valkyries, because they have like no characterization outside of like little bits of it, I know that these characters do, so seeing their sad reactions to things is something that's necessary, and it also puts into context how much they're losing, which is a lot. Like, it's not just humanity that's at stake, it's every single Valkyrie sister. They literally watch their sisters in arms die, so it's a sad case. And the thing is, we see that Brunhild, she tries to, like, model after Adam. Like, remember what the first man Adam says, is there any reason a man needs to protect whoa, is there any reason why can I not read? Is there any man who needs a reason to protect what's dear to him? Is that what he said? I don't think that's what he said. Hold on. I'm back. Adam said, like, nothing close to that. I mean, he said, is there any reason a man needs to protect his own children? However, like, that's not what he said, Brunhild. I don't know. You kind of misquoting. Don't put disrespect to my man's Adam's name like that. And I know this is like the manga's only way of bringing Adam back, because the main issue with the character specifically dying at the end of each fight is that they can't have any more moments, which saddens me and is what makes characters like Adam drop lower and lower as the series progresses when I get more of the regular human fighters. As much as I still love him, like, he's still a fantastic character, he's just dead though, so I can't really get more out of him at this point. However, we see Brunhild, it's mainly just bravado. She's really feeling it too. She's sad that her sisters in arms are dying, and she wants to be left alone for a little bit. And we see that she promised something to someone. She seemed to promise that, yes, she would save them no matter what. Now, who she promised this to, I don't know. I'm thinking it could be Buddha. I'm just wondering what the connection is there. And it could just be some unrelated Valkyrie. It could be someone. I have no idea why that she's saying this stuff like that. But I love how it gives Brunhild more characterization. We've seen more of this before. We've seen it in the past where Brunhild's actually legitimately sad over things, but getting more and more context to it is very good for her character. It makes her feel a lot more real, and it makes her feel a lot more connected to humanity, even if it's likely for a reason that isn't directly tied into humanity, which is nice to see. Then we see my favorite scene of this chapter. We just see Buddha eating Buddha Black Thunder. I guess my man has his own candy. So that's pretty cool. But Zeus comes all the way up here, says, "Ayo, Buddha." They basically have this nice little scene where they're just messing around with each other. Like, Zeus is trying to be serious and talk about like round 5 and how the humans did good again. And then he sees the Buddha Black Thunder. Is like, "Ayo, Buddha, could you slide me one of those?" And then Buddha just says, "Nope, nope, 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 nope." Munches them all, which is impressive. You know, I don't know how he keeps up that physique if he's just eating Buddha Black Thunder. But I guess you're God, so do whatever you want with your physique. And then Zeus asks the question after Buddha asks him, "What the heck do you want, old man?" And he's like, "Ah, yes, my boy. Do you mind fighting in round 6? And Buddha looks like, "Oh, so I'm betraying you now." But the thing is, end of chapter 42 is a really solid chapter. You can tell it's very much transitionary into the next fight. And I think that's fine. It's a good, solid transitionary chapter. We see the end of the last fight. We see how the Valkyries are feeling about the end of it. And we also see our next fighter, one way or another. But on its own, I think the chapter is all right. It's pretty good. I just think a lot of what's said in the chapter is kind of a bit weird. Like, I find the Hermes thing weird, but I do like a lot of things in the chapter. I like to see Shiva and Zeus's interactions. I like seeing Brunhild's more human side. Yeah, you know, it's a good chapter. It's a good chapter. And of course, I love seeing Buddha and Zeus interact because they definitely seem like a rowdy son and an old man who's just like sick and tired of the rowdy son, but recognizes the fact that the rowdy son is like very important and needs to do things. And I like that a lot. And we open up in chapter 43 with these two talking. And then Buddha, as he's eating one more, is like, "Hey, yo, why do you want to destroy humanity so much?" And Zeus is like, "Because I don't like losing. Because I'm a real one. And as we real one, the gods, we don't lose as long as we fight." And then Buddha like looks at him like, "You know what? I like your spirit, old man. Sure, I'll do it." Except Zeus is like, "Now, you say you like my spirit, but are you about that action, bro?" And I love this moment because it shows Zeus trying to like reassert his dominance over Buddha, because that's something he sort of failed to do when he first told Buddha to stop making a mess. Because Buddha literally just said, he laughed in his face and said, "Yeah, no, whatever. The only person who can move me on heaven and earth is me, and you aren't me." And it's really respectable. And you can see Zeus trying to reassert dominance. And Buddha looks like intimidated for a slight moment. You can see they black out his eyes and everything, purely just black dots. However, then he instantly just goes, "KK." And here's the thing. I'm okay with Buddha talking like this. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings on Buddha going KK, and of course the end of the chapter thanks. It's mainly disrespect, which is why I like it a lot, because this is the supreme god of gods, and you're just saying KK because you don't respect him at all, which is extremely respectable on Buddha's end. However, I don't know, that speaking style doesn't necessarily suit with me. I find it, and the reason I mainly get this father-son dynamic, or like grandson and grandfather dynamic, is because of the way like Buddha hugs Zeus and everything, and Zeus is like, "Okay, have fun, all right?" And he just sends Buddha off. I don't know. It seems like a very like familiar relationship. Like, I want to see how much backstory these two have together, because I feel like there's more that we just aren't getting. So, Ragnarok, slide me that. I like the interaction a lot, because it just shows like there's some sort of familial bond here, or something close to that, and I like that a lot. So then we move on to Gear or Goal or whatever, doing whatever she can, to go get bandages. And we see Ebisu, getting healed up after Buddha spit a lollipop through his hand. So that's pretty cool. And we also get to see the healing process of the gods. Like the goddess doctor ends up pouring some things on his hand, ends up healing him up, and good to go. His hand is all clean and fresh. Gear is listening in, and she hears something about, it'll be the death penalty with Zero. I feel something about Zero and death penalty, and something about that triggers something in my mind, but I'm not sure where it comes from. Like, if it's in Record of Ragnarok, it's in Record of Ragnarok. But for some reason, death penalty and Zero triggered something in my mind. If that means anything, please tell me in the comments. I don't know. I'm kind of blanking right now. For some reason, it makes me try to remember something, but I can't do it. Then we see Bishamoten, and I like this guy's design as much as, like, he's pseudo over designed, but then again we had Lubu, so he's not necessarily that over designed. I like the man, like everything, and we just see that he's a chill guy for the most part in comparison to Ebisu. Like, he's like, Ayo. After Ebisu gets all threatening and Jack has to come in with the save. Shouts to Jack in this chapter, by the way. He looks so like relaxed despite really being in the presence of multiple people who probably definitely outmatch him. But I like seeing Jack here because it's just, once again, the character's alive. I can see him do more. It's something that I can't get with dead characters at this point because they're gone. But seeing Jack come here, seeing Jack have this square off with Ebisu, it's all this really cool stuff that is just great character moments. It's why I like seeing these characters more and more, because it presents little side plots, it presents little side narratives. And we see Bishamoten say, I will not tolerate wanton killing. We're leaving. And then everyone leaves, steps out, and once this is done, Jack asks, what was that about? And Gold says, the 7 lucky gods. And Jack says something that catches my attention here that, like, makes me go, huh? Why is this being mentioned? Like, Jack uses his eye and he reads their colors, at least I'm assuming, and he specifically goes 7. Are you sure? And he looks at them, and I feel like Jack sees 8 or he sees 6, or there's something we're missing here. There's no reason for this to be included unless it means something. And then he says, assumption is mortal's chiefest enemy. And I have so many questions about this. I'm like, all right, so does that mean there are more lucky gods? That means there are less lucky gods? Is there just like, what's going on here? I feel like there's too little information for me to, like, heavily theory craft, so I'm going to put my little theory toolbox away for now and just point that out to y'all too. I know that's a pretty obvious point in the chapter that it doesn't necessarily get resolved, so I think there's definitely going to mean something, because now that the Buddha side plot is pretty much over, because we're seeing the results of it right now, I think this is going to be our new something about the 7 lucky gods and what they could possibly really be. And I like how Gold gets, like, this new characterization where, like, she saw Jack as a monster because he killed Hercules, but the thing is, she sees the man who defeated one of her, well, really a brother to her, and she is like, fine, you're covered in scars, you need to get help, you need to rest. And Jack sees a bit of Hercules in her, and like I said, do I find Hercules boring? Yes. However, what he did for Jack, I think, is the most important thing he ever did, and seeing it like that is really, really nice. Also, the thing that confuses me a little bit is Jack, like, after Gold/Gear runs off with the bandages to go take to Brunhild, Jack says, what a shame. Like, he had offered her tea again, and I'm not sure if that was out of, like, a good, like, gentleman perspective where he's offering her tea just to take a drink, be a good guy, or, like, he was trying to kill her. I don't know. Like, as much as I like Jack, he still is also a serial killer, so him wandering around these halls is kind of, like, as amazing as it is, because I like Jack as a character, I wonder if he's going to do anything shady, because he's also Jack the Ripper. So, I don't know. The what a shame. Jack, I love seeing him. He brings up a lot of questions in this chapter, but I also just love seeing him. So, it's a 50-50 shot on Jack. I really enjoy it. And then we cut to round 6, the end of the chapter, and I really like Buddha's intro because it's honestly one of the most understated intros. It's just Heimdall telling him the story, well, telling us the story of Buddha and how he came to rise to the Enlightened One. And we see everyone all praying and being like, whoa, what's the heck? Why is Buddha our enemy? And I love how you're seeing it, instead of, like, just one group, you see the traditional monk, but you see what looks like a police officer, you see a businessman. They're all, like, followers of Buddha, and they all have their own different time periods, and yet they're all so concerned that Buddha is their enemy, because Buddha, he's the person who guides them out of darkness. However, we see Buddha, he just keeps on strolling. He strolls all the way over. Everyone's confused, like, Buddha, where you going, bro? Where you going? Heimdall's like, hey, yo, that's going too far. You need to come back, chief. The god side is on the other side. And the gods are like, hey, yo, ha, ha, ha. He's going to be, like, paying tribute to them or blah, blah, blah. The humans are so foolish. Only for Buddha to be like, I'm fighting for humanity, so thanks, bro. And once again, the thanks throws me off a little bit. Once again, the disrespect, I'll give him the pass because it's disrespectful. That seemingly is what Buddha is all about, being mad disrespectful, and I can respect that. So we see Buddha shock everybody. Literally no one except maybe Brunhild was expecting this. Because Zeus shook. Aphrodite, I don't know why we keep getting shots at Aphrodite. I guess it's just she's our only female goddess of any note. Now, that's not like tied into a fighter, so we're going to keep seeing her. But she's shook. Hermes, extra shook. This is the most shocked I've seen him the entire series, which is impressive. Ares, no one cares about Ares, but he's also shook. Odin, my man looks angry, so I thought he was in on the Buddha plot. Looks like he may not be. And Loki, furious. I'm happy to see that. Gear in absolute and total shock. Brunhild, she doesn't care, which makes sense. That's why I'm thinking she promised like Buddha that, because she seems so unfazed. This doesn't even surprise her at all. But honestly, my favorite reactions are Sasuke's, Isami Kondo's, and Soji's reaction. They're just all so darn happy. Like Sasuke just has this big old dumb grin on his face. Isami looks a bit shocked, and Okita is just laughing. Like, this is something they didn't expect, but it shook everybody except for Brunhild. And you just see Buddha with this big old dumb grin on his face, and I find it so funny. And you can see all the gods, they freaking out like, hey, yo, you're a fool. What are you doing? Are you betraying the god? And then he just takes the Gjallarhorn, the call of Ragnarok, in his hands, crushes that bad boy. And then everyone gets even angrier with him. Heimdall's like, no, my horn. And then he just says one word, shut up. And then every single god there is like, hey, yo, sorry, Lord Buddha, we did not mean to speak out of turn. And then Buddha goes on to his thing. If the gods won't save them, I will. And he points at Zeus with his weapon. And he says this, and if any god gets in my way, I'll kill them. And the thing is, what impresses me the most about this is that the gods seem actually shook, except for Odin. Now, here's the thing. I'm confused. Because, like, Zeus looks actually legitimately terrified. Like, not concerned that, oh, Buddha turned against him, but terrified. Hermes, terrified. Ares, who's terrified of everything, terrified. Aphrodite, terrified. Loki, still angry, but likely terrified. But Odin, the only thing that looks really terrified on him is his crows. But he himself looks calm. And that intrigues me, because mainly we have the whole possibly, like, Odin trying to usurp Zeus theory. We have so many theories about this. And the thing is, the chapter ends with Buddha standing in front of humanity and saying he'll kill anyone who gets in his way. And the thing that intrigues me the most about this, now that the chapter's done, I've gotten through, I've given you all my thoughts. The thing that intrigues me the most about this is, one, I feel like Buddha actually may be fighting a god. Now, a big theory after this chapter dropped was that he may fight a human, whether that human be Rasputin, for actual immortality, whether it be anyone who would betray humanity for whatever reasons, believing that they would not align, stuff like that. I think the most interesting proposition I could possibly give for Buddha fighting is maybe him fighting one of the 7 lucky gods, or really, I guess the human idea works fine, though I feel like at this point, I'm not exactly sure what the gods can offer outside of immortality, and I'm not exactly sure who would go with that. Now, notably, I haven't done much research on the humans in Record of Ragnarok, just as I've done very little on the gods. I've kind of just been going by hearsay. I don't want to accidentally spoil myself on any of their characterization or stuff like that. So, seeing this, it intrigues me. It intrigues me a lot. And you know what? I think instead of, like, going into pure, like, theory crafting mode right now, I think I will do some research. I think I will do a separate video on Buddha and his betrayal and who he could be likely to fight. This is a very interesting turn of events. Do I think and I'll be real, I didn't think this would happen this quickly. I was assuming Buddha was going to betray humanity after Loki asked him, hey, if you're a traitor, and then Buddha's like, yo, what if I am? I figured that was the call of smoke. That was Buddha saying, I'm about to do it and you ain't ready for it. But I wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly. But we're here now. Buddha's betrayed, and I can't wait to see who he's fighting. And honestly, this chapter, it's solid. Like, it's 100% a solid introduction, because it really is just the first half of the chapter is mainly the Jack, goal, gear, and everything side plot. And then, it's technically Buddha being asked by Zeus and saying he will do it. Then we get the goal gear side plot with Jack, and then we get the end of the chapter where we see Buddha. It's a really solid chapter. I like it more than the last one for obvious reasons. And it's a solid 9 out of 10. Literally, I think the chapter has very good build up to the end narrative because we see the first half of it build up into the last half of it, and we get a nice little intermission. I think it's a solid 9 out of 10 chapter. Together, chapters are a solid 8 to 9 out of 10. It's a good build up, and I really think we're going to go interesting places. If I had any criticisms, I mean, it will literally just be how Buddha talks. I think everything else, I think all the reactions, I think his introduction is super understated, but it works well for Buddha and his backstory. I like every single thing about it. I'm concerned about how he shattered the horn of Ragnarok. I feel like that means something more than that just being a big old horn that Heimdall used. But other than that, I think these were solid chapters. What do you guys think about these chapters? I think they're great, but I don't know. And who do you think Buddha's going to fight? Because I feel like him fighting anyone of the gods would take away from the gods roster even more. So if Hermes has to come down and fight Buddha, that would be kind of cool. I wouldn't even lie. However, that's neither here nor there. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.